Dussey, what does a gender-sensitive approach to PVE look like? I think there are three answers, and it's a bit of a Dorothy Dixon, but I'm trying to respond to what I've heard as well. I think one answer to that question is to recognize that men and women have different and differentiated roles as victims, as perpetrators, and also as potential change agents. And I hope that later in this discussion I'll have a chance to speak a little bit about the work that GCERF, the Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund, is doing. We are providing small grants to local communities in places like Bangladesh, Mali and Nigeria, and much of those grants, many of those grants are going to support the empowerment of women to realize their potential as change agents. So a gender perspective means understanding there are different and differentiated roles between men and women as victims, as perpetrators, and as change agents. I think a second answer to the question, what does a gender-sensitive perspective look like, is to understand that different people have different understandings of gender. We may not always agree with their understandings and their approaches to gender, but I think to understand that those exist is important. There are two risks that I see, having worked in this field now for 2 years or so, and there are people here who know much more than me about this field. I see two main risks emerging around the PVE, Preventing Violent Extremism, agenda. One is that there is a risk that it is being used to dress up or disguise or hide or excuse hard security responses. We're all trying to stop violent extremism. Prevention is a little bit of a dress-up, but let's really focus on the hard security stuff. And that's not what prevention is supposed to be about, and we need to make sure that we distinguish those two issues. The other risk that I see emerging is that PVE risks becoming an excuse for cultural imperialism. The Muslims have got it wrong, the South has got it wrong, let us wise people in the North or wealthy countries in the South try to reinterpret, try to advance our missions, try to impose our values. That is not what this is supposed to be about. This is supposed to be about tolerance, about understanding, about listening. So I think a second answer to your question, a gender-sensitive approach to PV is to understand and realize that different people in different parts of the world have different understandings of gender. I think that's fundamentally important. My third answer, if I could quickly, is all about assumptions. And this applies not just to gender in PVE, but gender more generally. We need to move beyond assumptions. The way to move beyond assumptions is to get the research in place. I think this is still a field that is desperate for good evidence and good research. And by the way, the best research being done at the moment is by young women, which I think is something of a gender response to this challenge. The way that GCERF approaches this, which I think lends some legitimacy to this, is that we make this a very much a bottom-up approach. We ask communities, what do you think is driving people to violent extremism? What do you think are the solutions? How can we help you? Because as you said, Ambassador Dussey, I have the honor of being associated with the Lowy Institute, with the Brookings Institution, with Chatham House, and we have some great thinkers doing some great work on this, but perhaps we need to listen a little bit more to the mothers and the sports coaches and the clerics and the imams who are actually on the front line.